All right, everyone. Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. Tuesday evening on the 3rd of June, tropical update, and we have our first area that we're watching now. It's that small area you can see that's hatched along the Carolina coast. It's only a 10% chance. I really don't think this is a big deal. It is playing a little bit of a role in our weather, though. In fact, take a look at this. You can see where we've got all this moisture just kind of rotating around us. And that is basically an upper level low that's sitting out here over the eastern Gulf. So there's drier air aloft, there's cooler air aloft, and then on the right side of that, it's pulling up all this tropical moisture and some dry air up above it and cooler air. And so what's happening is with all that tropical moisture coming in from the south, when we heat up, we've got cooler air aloft, and that makes bigger showers and thunderstorms, more of them. And so we have a weather impact alert here. It's something we do here at 10 Tampa Bay to give you a heads up at home that, like, hey, look, we're going to be seeing more rain than anything else over the next 24 hours or so. In fact, that'll go through Wednesday. Now, all of this is lifting out, and eventually it's going to move right up the coast here, right along the southeast coast of the Carolinas. That's where it has a 10% chance for development. And I just don't think that that's a big chance at this particular point. Let's go over the models first before we talk about that. Generally, the forecast models, they don't do too much with it. This is the European forecast model, and you can see that it's going to give us a lot of rain in this area here. In fact, let's just switch over to Florida, or we'll go over to the southeast. I'll make it a little bit easier to see here. But those areas are, really going to see all of the moisture, and that's really more than anything else what it's going to be. So this is Wednesday at 2 in the afternoon. Tomorrow, that means the rain fires back up. We'll have scattered showers overnight tonight and then fire them right back up tomorrow afternoon. But then watch how it's kind of moving slowly to the north and the east, right? You see that there? And then this is tomorrow night, or actually Thursday morning. Could see some kind of weak low in here. You don't see anything major, right? Nothing to worry about at this particular point, but certainly a rainmaker. And then now let's go out to Thursday night into Friday. And now that's Friday around 8 a.m. And you can clearly see it's got a closed low sitting over here, almost over the Albemarle Sound, okay? And it's all moving out in this direction. So something over land is not going to develop, even though you got a lot of warm water here in the Albemarle Sound, or at least it's getting there. It's been kind of cool. But really, you can see all the moisture that's sitting offshore. That's more than anything else. Now, this is the European forecast model. It takes it out and tries to maybe deepen a little bit east of the Delmarva, but that's out to sea. It doesn't do much with it, okay? Now, this is the GFS model for what it's worth. Let's go back out, and we'll look at the southeast view here as well. And here we go. So you can see the rain through tomorrow. This is Thursday morning. Look at all that rain in the Carolinas by midday on Thursday. And it looks like it's thinking the low is somewhere in here, okay? And then as we go through Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, this is Friday morning right here. Now you can see it's a broad area of low pressure, but basically that's it, right? Nothing blowing up here. So 10% chance from the hurricane center basically means 90% chance it doesn't develop. Okay, I'm not worried about that, but certainly some moisture coming through. Now look, it does too try and close it off and then eventually maybe weaken a low as it's moving away, but even that's pulling away from the northeast too, so it won't be an issue there. All right, let's look elsewhere in the tropics. This is now, let's go out. This is the European, the GFS forecast model, which we know does some crazy stuff, right? So let's go all the way out through, this is now Sunday morning. Not seeing a whole lot. In fact, what we do see is a big ridge of high pressure sitting out here, right? And so it's just kind of doing like this. And when this ridge axis here comes in, it tends to push everything towards the north and the west. So anything trying to develop here would do something like this, okay? So this is this Sunday. Let's go out through, oh, look at that. That's Monday into Tuesday. And what I'm seeing here, you see all these little L's right in here? That's different runs of the ensemble, the GFS ensemble, saying, yeah, it could be a low there, it could be a low there. Watch how they move to the north and northwest. Everything's getting pushed off to the west. So even if something develops, which I'm not 100% sure it does, this is by now Tuesday the 17th, right? It would generally be in the central and the western Gulf. So here we go. This is the European forecast model. Let's go out through this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nothing much really going on. Look what it does. It's got a lot of something popping out here on the Pacific side and then drifting it off like that. Okay, that's more likely. I think you can see how big the ridge is sitting in here. So that's a pretty good ridge that tends to push everything away from us, which is really good news. So that's out through Tuesday, the 11th, the 10th, Wednesday, the 11th. Let's go further. Now, here we are, Friday, the 13th. Perfect. We got something sitting out here, something weak, it looks like. See Western Gulf. Let's go all the way out to Monday, the 16th, and now we're just kind of way out in time. So it's not really even that good. But bottom line is, we don't see much, especially here, right? We see some things coming out in this area and here, and that is just about it. So great news as far as that's concerned. This is the European forecast model for its chances of development through Friday the 13th. And you can see, again, pretty much what I showed you there, and especially this area here out over the Pacific. This is that small chance for development by Thursday and Friday, this Thursday and Friday, as that system moves along the Carolinas. Not really worried about that. All right, I think that's it for now. So thanks for watching, guys. Of course, I'll be updating you daily here with the tropical updates. One other thing, I almost forgot. Let me show you this. This is the smoke and dust. That's right, guys. There is not only smoke, but there's also Saharan dust. And you can see the Saharan dust now over the Caribbean. And look what happens by the time we get towards tomorrow after. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at all this dust. Meanwhile, there's fires up here have brought down all this smoke across the southeast, and it's kind of getting pushed out. But this stuff's merging up here. I know that's a lot right there. Let me erase all that. But this stuff's merging there, and that is going to help to dry out the atmosphere at least a little bit. So it's, right now that system would be in here, crossing Florida. This is Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon. And you can see the spin there over the South Carolina right here. Watch this area here. It's going to move off to the north and east. But look at all this dust. So by tomorrow afternoon into Thursday, we're going to see very hazy skies. Once we'll see a lot of clouds with the rain, right? But once we do get the sun to pop out, it's going to be very hazy, almost kind of like smog if you're used to that. And that will be Wednesday and Thursday. And then as we get into Thursday night, we still have a bunch left over. You can see all that still here Thursday at 8 p.m. sunset, which I think we'll see some sun that time. And then we do start to thin it out a little bit as we get into Friday evening. Now, this is across the Gulf. It does help to dry things out a little bit. That is another great thing to have around for tropical season. Now, we tend to have it at the beginning of the season, June, maybe a little bit into July, and that's what we're looking at right now. So we will take it. Okay, guys, that's it. Have a great one.